Welcome to Lost Girl Therapy. Let's talk about my P.O.T.S symptoms, but first you need my health history. So before I got diagnosed with P.O.T.S, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's in 2019. When I got Hashimoto's, I experienced extreme bouts of anxiety, but also really high energy when it came to working out, followed by extreme periods of fatigue to the point where I could not get up out of a chair. Now, when I started taking my thyroid health seriously by regulating my diet, those symptoms went away. And for the majority of 2020, I was able to maintain a super normal workout style for me. So I was able to take longer walks. I was also able to maintain a yoga/Pilates practice while we were in lockdown. I didn't experience the majority of the flaring symptoms. The only thing that I noticed that was going on was I was getting rashes around my face out of nowhere. So I was having histamine responses that were unexplainable and doctors didn't know what was up. I got really sick in September of 21 with, we don't know if it was COVID or mono, but basically I was sick for probably 6 weeks to 2 months. And I was really unable to maintain normal life. There were points where I just could not get out of bed. There were points where I could not make it to school. There were points where I thought I was just going to actually be found unconscious in my apartment because I truly could not make sense of what was happening to my body. It was as though my nervous system got turned on to 200 and did not know what was happening. I had the hearing of a bat. I could hear a girl with flip-flops 6 floors beneath me walking down Newbury Street. I could hear the drip inside of the air vent 4 apartments below me. My hearing was insane. The light hurt my eyes. It was just an out-of-body experience that doctors basically were like, you get migraines now. And I was like, this is not normal. I don't know what this is, but it's definitely not migraines. In May of 22, I got diagnosed with COVID for the first time that I was aware of. And at that point, it basically was a lot of respiratory stuff. I got fatigued, but I had a lot of respiratory things that then made me exhausted when I was walking. So in that summer, I really tried to go outside, get fresh air, and I truly had difficulty making it down the block. So I didn't really do a lot of yoga. I just was trying to get through my day. And then in September of 22, I got it again. So in September of 22, this is where I got it much more like a flu-like symptom, and it was very similar to my experiences in September of 21, where I had extreme hearing sensitivity. I could feel the air conditioner turn on and the vibration, I would actually feel it in my body. I could feel the ground move beneath my feet. Any subtle shifts that were going on, I would physically experience them. And that made it really difficult. So I was basically unable to go outside from September to January of 23. I got COVID a 3rd time in January of 23. And this is where all the P.O.T.S symptoms really came to light. So in January of 23, and I got diagnosed at the end of January. So in the beginning, what I started noticing is I would try to go outside and I would get really lightheaded. I would try to go for a walk, and not only did the sounds make me feel like I was having an anxiety attack, but it felt like sand was running through my body to the point that I would faint. So there were plenty of times where I tried to go outside to take a walk, and on days where I was feeling better, I would try to do my normal lap, and I would have to get in a cab immediately because I was about to pass out on the sidewalk. So there were a lot of moments where I just felt like I was about to faint, but the most significant moment was in, I want to say January of 23 or 22, and this is where I did not put 2 and 2 together that I was about to have a P.O.T.S thing. I had an experience, I'm pretty sure it's January of 23. I had an experience where I was in a museum and I was basically walking for a long time, standing for a long time, overheating. And I started to have a fainting episode, but I didn't exactly faint. I started shaking uncontrollably. So I was going in and out of consciousness and I was getting really nauseous, really hot. And then all of a sudden I just started shaking like this. When I laid down, the shaking became so pronounced and my heartbeat was going so fast, above 160, I want to say, that I went to City MD, then I went to the hospital, and they basically were like, you just have a migraine, we don't know what this is, you're gonna be fine. I then proceeded to have episodes similar to that on and off for about 6 months. So it was super weird. From like January of 23 through June of 23, I just had the most odd experiences, and they were terrifying. If I laid down, my heart went too fast. If I sat up, my heart went too slow. I had difficulty getting up out of chairs. I had difficulty getting up out of bed. I would basically like fall to the ground pretty quickly, especially in my own home. Like the idea of like walking outside and going down the block was not in the cards. I would go to work once a week, and the act of walking the 5 blocks to work rendered me useless. Like I would have to sit in that chair and be unable to get up for like nearly 3 hours because my body just did not recover. This is where, after I did the tilt table test and I actually got a P.O.T.S diagnosis at NYU, or a doctor affiliated with NYU, this is where I needed to find like a better way to handle this. So I started doing the Levine protocol for exercise, and I cannot speak highly enough about it. It is the greatest thing that I ever did for P.O.T.S. It is a 6 to 8 month program, and it is reconditioning your body. Now, at this point, I was so afraid to take a walk, so afraid to work out, etc., that I just had done nothing. And maybe in June of 23, I finally was like, mentally, we're gonna get through this, it's gonna be fine. And instead of doing the Levine protocol, because I definitely put it off for a while, what I tried to do is get back into yoga, or tried to get back into walking. And I noticed that like I would take a walk and then I would need 4 days to recover, or I would do yoga and I would be winded within the first 10 minutes. I also did not have the ability to like come up out of yoga in the sense of like a forward bend to upright without actually feeling like I was going to faint or see spots or anything like that. So when I started noticing that I was having exercise intolerance, I boosted my salt intake. I started taking LMNT. I now make a version of that at home. And that helped, but it did not help as much as the Levine protocol did. Doing that protocol and starting with a recumbent bike was a game changer, because here I was saying like, yeah, I've been sick. Yeah, I don't feel well, but like, I'm still healthy. I'm still like, of course I can take a walk. I can get on a treadmill. Nope. No, I could not. And sitting on a recumbent bike was very humbling, because it took me nearly a week to get through 20 minutes. I had to go back every single day to get through the first day of exercise, because I truly did not have the stamina, and because my entire nervous system was experiencing a fear response when I tried to do it. The biggest thing about the protocol is that it helps recondition your nervous system in order to like excite it and then calm it down depending on the day, which I found incredibly helpful. It also integrated strength training. I was, as I've said, I was a yoga girl. I was like, I am strong, I can do this. No. The muscle fatigue that I experienced because of P.O.T.S, the like how quickly I lose stamina and how quickly I basically like need to rebuild my own stamina if I don't work out for 2 days or 3 days, is drastically different from when I was in the best shape of my life. Like before I had P.O.T.S, I could take a week off and like not really notice any difference in terms of my strength. If I take 2 days off now, like it's starting from zero, because I truly do not have the stamina, and the muscle fatigue is so real. The good thing about the protocol is that you go from recumbent bike to upright bike to treadmill, and then integrate a bunch of other stuff into that. But once I got to the treadmill side of it, my general strength came back, and I was able to like actually go back outside for longer walks. I was able to do the majority of my things. I've just reintroduced yoga for the first time in 3 years. It doesn't need to take 3 years to do all of this. Like for somebody who's trying to get back into it, do the Levine protocol, and in 6 months, it can be really helpful for you to get back to previous iterations of working out. Yes, it will be different. Am I doing a 45-minute class? No. Am I able to do a 45-minute Pilates? No. Part of it is because I'm out of shape. The other part of it is like I will be wrecked the next day. So the biggest thing that I had to do was learn how to manage moderation, in the sense that like a little bit of exercise with P.O.T.S goes a really long way. A lot of exercise will leave me on the couch for the next 3 days. So kind of finding that balance was really important. It's important for me. And it also changed the way that I'm able to like navigate the world. I don't know if you've seen stuff about like the spoon theory, but a little bit of exercise allows me to keep all of my spoons intact throughout the week. If I do a full-blown exercise routine, all of my spoons of energy are gone for the next 7 days, and there's a lot of things in life that I can miss out on. So it's really about navigating like a little bit to improve your day-to-day functioning, not to thwart it. If you have any questions, let me know. I know that this was kind of long-winded, but I'm happy to talk more about my POTS symptoms and like the absolute chaos that we all go through to get the diagnosis, or the experiences that we have that leave us feeling really confused and worried and scared about what our bodies are doing. But I truly, like, knock wood, feel like I've navigated this to a degree that things are slowly getting better. Not every day is perfect, but they're getting better. And if there's any information that I can share from my lived experience, I'm happy to.